We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Our guest is Terry Wilson. He's a Veterans Services Officer. That means he helps veterans get services. He's at Robertson County, and he does a really good job. And he's very involved with this. We're talking this morning about kind of benefits out there that many veterans may not be aware of. This, of course, on our observance of Veterans Day. You know what really upsets me when sometimes I'm driving into work, and you see sometimes people on the side of the road, you know, asking for money and donations and things like this. And the other day, as I was driving past, and you know, it wasn't a stop, so I couldn't stop to give him money, or I would have. But there's a guy, this homeless veteran, holding the sign up there, and you know, I don't like to see anyone homeless, but that broke my heart as well, seeing that. And we talk about the services. In your mind, is there any reason why a veteran with some of these services available should be homeless?
No. We have a lot of resources for our veterans. Within the VA, we have they have a program called HUD-VASH, which helps get them into housing, can help assist families that way. Nashville is fortunate because we have Operation Stand Down. Operation Stand Down over off 12th Avenue does a wonderful job. They provide a lot of support for our homeless veterans or veterans that may have just lost their job, helping to get them back into the workforce. They actually have people who go out and visit the homeless camps around town here. And if we have one who's reported saying, hey, you know, I think we've got a veteran down on this corner, they'll actually stop by and check on them to see if they need help, trying to get them into the shelters, trying to see what they can do to help them. Now, there is a small percentage of the veterans out here that they are out on the streets because that's their choice. They have, for one reason or another, unfortunately have slipped through the cracks, and for them, it's removing themselves away from people as a whole. It's like, I want to be by myself, I want to spend that time. But there's going to come a day when they're going to be ready to re-enter back into society. They've got to get things worked out. Our thing is trying to go ahead and keep that help out there for them. Making sure we're able to give that assistance. We're starting to see a lot more female vets who are homeless. And it is so tough because of the stigma that we have with PTSD, with the things that are coming out by veterans, the wartime service, in peacetime. There's something who affected most all veterans. We're all familiar with seeing the loss of limbs, other injuries that are visible. It's the injuries that's not visible that veterans carry through a lifetime, and it can take years sometimes for that to manifest, and they will deal with it. As I have guys that will come in and say, you know, this hasn't bothered me since I come back. Why is this bothering me now after 40 years? And one of the things that I've seen is, sitting and talking with people, is that when they first come back, and the Vietnam vets are a good example of this, they come back and they did one of three things. They either became workaholics and threw themselves back into family and work. Some self-medicated when they came back, and then eventually threw themselves into family and work. Others took the recreational use of self-medicating. And so those things were tough. And for the ones who actually made their way back and became workaholics, what happened is, the more they worked, the better it was. They couldn't think about things. They took everything, packed it into a box, stuck it in a closet. Well, they stayed involved with work, family, the kids. As the kids got older, the kids moved out, grandkids come along, they retired from work. That box was in the closet, started jiggling around. Well, they went in there and opened that closet door, and everything just started coming back again. So
like you said, it can be decades before it manifests. Let's take a phone call or two as we're going through. I want to make sure we squeeze some of these in. We'll go next to Lester. Hello, Lester.
Yes, hello.
Hi, Lester. How can we help you?
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
For the VSO.
Yes.
I went in the military in '64. Okay, come out in '67. When I initially filed a claim, they gave me tendinitis, 10%. I had an accident in 1992, okay, when I was in the reserves. But when VA does my records, they're looking at for my initial entry into service in 1964 through 67. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find my records. Okay, from a reserve for when I had an accident, and I had an accident in 1992.
Right.
Okay, I filed repeatedly since 1992. I've been diagnosed with PTSD, and I have 11 other complaints on that. But what they did was they combined it and put me into a pension program.
Okay, so your question then is just you want to know how to get the records for, or get a benefit for the accident that you had most recently, is that it?
Yeah, yes, I want to know the 1992,
okay,
the accident that I had in 1992.
All right.
Okay. Those are my reserve records, and I do not know where those records are.
Okay. Any thoughts on that? And are you able to collect benefit for injuries that occur when you're in the reserve?
You can. It had to actually be on duty at that point in time, so it had to be during the weekend of reserve duty or during the 2 weeks during the summer. What I would recommend on this, and it's the same thing I do with all of my folks that are in the Guard, is to reach back out to that unit and to make contact with them to see where the records were transferred to. The active duty records are all eventually forwarded to St. Louis to the MPRC for the military, but the reserve and Guard records do not always go there.
That was 26 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, what are the odds are that those records are still around somewhere?
They are.
They are. Are they?
Yeah.
Have they been transferred? Are they in computers now? Is there a paper record somewhere in a file? What
there is probably a paper record somewhere. They are very tough to get. The more time goes by, the harder it is to be able to garner a lot of this evidence and the records from that time frame. The other thing would be is if there's anyone that he's in contact with that he was serving with at that time that has knowledge of that accident, they can actually do a statement to that. We can do buddy statements on it. There's other things to do. It's definitely going to be a little bit of a slow process. What makes it equally makes it a little bit tougher, makes the hill a little bit steeper for us as service officers is the prior denials. So now anything we do has to be new evidence relating to that. So it's garnering and trying to find as much of that evidence as possible, reaching back out to that unit if that unit is no longer in existence, finding the unit that replaced it, and trying to track down those records.
That's the path. It's a tough path to follow, but that's what place for him to start. Listen, we only have about 4 minutes or so. I want to grab Steve in here real quick. Let's go to Steve. Steve, good morning. What can we do for you?
Good morning. Thanks to Terry for coming on, and thank you, Nick, for your program. My question is just, I was trying to figure out, I have a situation with my brother who passed away. He was a Beirut vet, and I don't have his service records because he was involved in a house fire, and everything was burned up. And I tried to file a claim for some help for the burial benefit, burial benefit, and I got turned down for 2 or 3 different reasons. And I just wondered who might be a person in either Davidson County or maybe over in Monroe County, Tennessee, that I could talk to try to get this straightened out. Okay.
All right. He's going to check on this. And so this is for a benefit for burial, is what he's talking about.
Actually the records, because of being a Beirut vet, if all his time was active duty, he can actually, as a relative of that veteran, he can actually request those records out of National Archives. They can actually do it online through eVetRecs. They can actually do electronic request. There's a signature page that are print off and they can fax in, or they can actually do a form SF-180 that is all accessible there. Any good veteran service officer can actually fix them up. In Davidson County, Lisa Kiss is our main VSO here. And in Monroe, it's Andy Boyd, and he's there in Madisonville, Tennessee. And so that phone number, Steve, is 423-442-5812 in Monroe County. And if you have any problems, please, you can reach out to me and call me at my office, which is 615-358-1304, or you can shoot me an email shown there on the screen. So just reach out to me if you have any problems with either one of those. I'll be more than happy to see what we can do about helping get your brother's records there. Once you have the records, then for filing for the burial benefits, there's a 2-year window if it's not service connected. If it's service connected, there is not a ending time period on that on filing for that. Okay. And there also want to make sure that you had received a flag, and then as well as the Presidential Memorial Certificate that can be requested for you as well.
That's what, Terry, it's great. When you say it and describe it, it seems so straightforward, but it can be very daunting to some of these folks and myself to apply for it. That's why people like you and other VSOs out there are so invaluable. Here's what I want to do. We're wrapping things up now, and we have another guest that has to come on to wrap up the show. But I want to do this more often if you're willing to come on, Terry.
Yes, I'd be honored
just to get the word out. It doesn't have to be just on the observation of Veterans Day, which is important, but all year round we should be out there trying to help the veterans with services that they have coming to them.
Yes.
And so, listen, thank you for coming on, and thank you for your service. I really appreciate it. And we'll be in touch, and we put the number up, so hopefully you'll hear some from folks that you can help, all right?
That'd be great. We'll head them in the right direction.
Terry Wilson, VSO from Robertson County. I appreciate you coming on. We'll take a break. We come back, a special guest about a special fundraising activity happening later this week. You like music? We'll get into that. Stay with us.